I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for asking. I'm following up on a call you received about a new low-cost final expense program that covers 100% of the funeral expenses and any other debts or obligations you might have. So would you mind if our expert contacts you in a few days and give you more information on it along with a quote?
Sure.
So may I know what's the best time to reach you in a few days? Like morning, afternoon, maybe evening?
Morning.
And just to qualify, may I know how young are you? I mean, what's your age?
67.
And if you decide to go for it, who would the benefit go to? Like your children, spouse, maybe siblings?
My daughter.
And are you a smoker or a non-smoker?
Non-smoker.
And just for the reference of this call, may I know what is your favorite color? Like blue, purple, brown?
Magenta.
And we have 3 plans in coverage, $5, $10, and $20,000. Which plan you would like to get a quote on in the next call? 5, 10, or maybe 20?
20.
Got it. To wrap up this call, how do you pronounce your name?
Lindsay Gardner.
Okay. And do you have a checking or a saving account?
Yes.
Okay. And is it okay for us to give you a text message on the same number too?
Yes.
Got it. You're still residing in the state of California, right?
Yes.
Oh, got it. May I know your street address? What's the zip code?
90810.
Is it any apartment number, unit number, or is it just a house?
Just the house.
Got it. You said who would be the beneficiary after you? Your son, daughter, spouse, or sibling?
My daughter.
What's her name?
Julie.
Got it. And if you like our policy and decide to initiate the policy with us, in that case, how would you like to pay? Like, would it be through your checking account or a saving account?
Just checking account, yes.
Okay. Please remember, our expert, Jervon Lawrence, will contact you back in next couple of days to provide you all the details and codes. And just so you know, this call is recorded for the quality and training purposes. So that be okay with you?
Okay, sure.
Thank you so much for your time. Have a nice day ahead. Bye-bye.
Bye. Hello.
Hey. Yes, Miss Lindsay, this is Jervon Lawrence with Final Expense Direct. How are you doing this afternoon?
I'm good. How are you?
I am fantastic. I'm following up with you because you had requested a price for $20,000 in coverage. Your favorite color is magenta, and you are in Long Beach, California. Am I right, Miss Lindsay?
Yes.
Okay. Now, I want to send you my business card first. That way you can establish who I am.
Mm-hmm.
Are you able to receive text messages to your cell phone?
Yes.
I believe I may have sent it already yesterday when I left you a voicemail. It should say, hi, this is Jervon from Final Expense Direct. For our conversation, here's my contact information. You should see a link that says hi.hello.me.
Oh, I think when I tried it, it didn't work, but let me try it again.
Let me try it again. I will send it again now. And you click on that little link at the bottom, you'll see a big man, gray patch of hair. Don't laugh at me. But it lets you know who you're working with, Miss Elaine.
Yeah. Copy.
Yes, or if you just click on the link, it should pull right up for you. If you just click on that hi.hello.me underline portion, it should pull up my license number, my national producer number, all my credentials.
So you're like independent, or do you work for someone specifically, like a...
Well, I'm under a broker. I do have a broker, which is Final Expense Direct, but I am an independent contractor. I'm appointed with multiple carriers, Lindsay, to find you the best plan at the best price, just not one set in stone company. Because we all know everyone don't qualify for every carrier, and if they do, we're able to give you the best price across the board. Now, make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, let me ask you, what do you know about final expense life insurance, Lindsay?
Not a ton. I know that it doesn't expire, so to speak. Like it'll pay out compared to term. And the way they marketed it is that it's supposed to be for like covering burial or things like that. But in terms of how you qualify, how those things work, I'm not 100% sure.
Well, you qualify by speaking with myself. And yes,
Right.
they're cash benefits. They stay the same for life. They never change. So you're spot on with that information. Now, what motivated you, Lindsay, to respond to our online ad to get some information about it?
Well, it's actually the part that I'm curious about how this came through. So initially this started, and I might have the recording somewhere, with some call center in India. You know, everyone gets these scam calls, right? They call
Right.
and they have very, very, very thick accents, and it's very obvious
Yes.
they're not in the United States.
Yes, ma'am.
But they walk you
Absolutely.
through, you know, yeah, I'm calling with senior benefits. We're talking about final expense policies in your state, yada, 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 yada. Sometimes they will close you right then and there. They'll take you through multiple agents, all in India, of course. Sometimes they'll push you to somebody else, and then somebody else will give you. I've been through this multiple times, if you can tell.
I can see.
And of course they spoof their number. So if you try to call it back, it goes nowhere. You know, this number's not in service. Well, how'd you call me if this
Okay.
number's not in service? So this is one of those
Wow.
where they called me, and I'm like, yeah, I'm up for life. Sure, why not? And they're like, okay, someone
Okay.
will call you, and that someone was you. So what happened on your end? How did you get my contact information?
Well, I mean, they sent it over to me. They sent me, basically, they forwarded it to me. I partner up with actually where someone would go online, fill out some information, and they'll reach out first to see if they are interested in getting some information about it. Once they confirm that they do want to get some prices on some coverage, they forward it over to the licensed agent for the state of California, myself, and I do my best to give you a call and give you the information you're looking for. Just that simple.
So who's they? Who does it on your behalf?
I partner up with lead vendors that are actually where a source that generates an online. If you click the link, Lindsay, or filled out something online, that's how they reached out to you.
I didn't though. I mean like I never have ever.
Really?
Yeah, really. That's what's so curious about this. Like I can imagine that they would, for example, if you had like a personal website, they would fill it out pretending to be me. And that's, you know, how to get around, because I know how lead generation works. But yeah, and all the life insurance people are like, yeah, I know, I have people, but you know, they do things by the book, they're legit, and you know, they get leads for me. But no, I'm telling you, really, I didn't file anything. The only calls I've ever gotten for final expense policies is those calls from India where they're like, yeah, we're calling for new coverage in your area. Do you know? And of course, at that point, you could say yes or no, but
Right.
I think that the key part of it is that those calls are unsolicited and my number's on the do not call list. So I don't know why I'm getting them. Isn't it the responsibility of lead generators to scrub for the do not call list and make sure that they're following the rules?
I believe so, yes, ma'am.
I would hope so, because someone has to be responsible. Right. You're not responsible because you're just taking their leads. You depend on them to play by the rules, you know?
Absolutely. Did you want to get a price, Lindsay, to get some information?
Or how much are you, so you pay for lead generation, right?
Yes.
How much? Just curious. I'm not.
It all depends.
I'm not an agent myself, so I don't really.
Inbound transfers. There's outbound transfers. It all depends on actually the type of lead I'm communicating with. There's various options.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. So
someone said
sometimes
that it was,
they can be $50. Sometimes they're $30. Sometimes they're $10. They're varied. I pay various amounts. Sometimes there's a live transfer. Yes.
Wow.
Pay a fortune. Thousands and thousands of dollars weekly, Lindsay.
Because if they're using call centers in India, that's really cheap labor. So man, they're making bank.
And again, it depends. Some leads are not live transfer. The more expensive ones are live transfers, where they would transfer you to an agent right away. And sometimes it's not always an international lead generator. It's a local lead generator.
Yeah, I had one yesterday that was a live transfer, and it was to someone who sounded American. They claimed to work for insurance supermarket, I think was the name of it. But then when you go to their website, they're like, yeah, lots of people get calls pretending to us, but it's not really us. And so it's an interesting field. I mean, I can respect it though,
you
because
can look on our website, Lindsay. You can also Google me and see that I'm a realtor with Kevin Williams. My job is to actually do my due diligence to, again, find you the best option out there for you. Again, if you are indeed looking for a price for your daughter, Julie, they left specific notes. You're 67. You wanted a quote for $20,000. Your favorite color was magenta. They have your mailing address on file. Your preferred callback number, your preferred text number, and they sent us that information as well as the recording to confirm this was something that you were interested in.
Interesting. I didn't know that the leads had that much stuff in them.
Well, yes, there's a supreme due diligence to protect actually the client, myself, and yourself also, if you are wanting to get a price, Ms. Lindsay.
They just don't verify that the phone number is on the do not call list or not. They're just like, we'll call anybody. Because I mean, they also spoof their number. You know, I couldn't call them back. So if you have their callback number, I'd love to talk to them.
Yes, I do not have their callback number, but I don't spoof my number.
You don't, definitely.
Again,
it showed.
Not at all. This is my cell phone number. I sent you my office number. We have an entire customer service upstairs. And again, Lindsay, my job is to do my due diligence to find you the best plan at the best price based on your age and health.
Yeah, once you get to the closer, they're legit. And for the ones I've talked to in the past, you can look up their NPI number and it checks out. So that part's legit. It's just how I got to you is a bit sketch.
Okay. Now, you did want to get a price on coverage, correct, Lindsay?
Just curious, do I have to go through the medical questions or do you, because you don't have that information. You just have like the contact details. So we'd have to go through
just the preliminary health questions, Lindsay, that got me to the best plan for you at the best price. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, that would work. So we said 20K. Let me write this down. I can compare this to the quote I was given yesterday.
Awesome. Yes, hopefully mine's are much better. So just one moment. Here, Miss Lindsay. For quality assurance purposes, you can hear me, Lindsay?
Yes.
Perfect. And let me confirm. You are currently 67. You're non-tobacco. When's your date of birth, Lindsay?
November 3rd, 1956.
Perfect. You smoke, you said non-tobacco. A rough estimate of your height and your weight?
I'd say around 5'6" and 135 pounds.
Perfect. You ever had any heart problems?
No.
You ever had a stroke?
No.
Any cancer?
No.
AIDS or HIV?
No.
Diabetes?
No.
High blood pressure?
No.
Any inhalers ever been prescribed to you?
Thankfully, no.
Liver or kidney complications?
No.
Anxiety or depression?
No.
And lastly, what about arthritis?
No.
Do you take any prescriptions that all been prescribed by a doctor?
Nothing prescribed. I mean, I have like allergy medicine, but that's over the counter, so
That
doesn't really count.
That's fine. So this is what I'm doing here now. I'm checking a box, giving you all the discounts I'm able to. And all of our top companies, they do their billing through banks and credit unions. I see on note you do have an active checking or savings. Now, do you have any life insurance at all, Lindsay, or no coverage at all?
No coverage currently.
Okay. Now, I will take you to the best plan I have available for you. The company's name is Liberty Bankers Life. They've been in business for well over 100 years. They're one of the most faithful insurance companies in America and one of the most financially stable insurance companies in America. And they've been awarded an A rating. They're giving you day one coverage that means illness or accident. After one single payment, the plan pays the full benefit amount. Media price here, Lindsay, for $20,000, $15,000, $10,000. And your $20,000 policy for you is only $96.40. That's for $20,000. They have a $15,000, which is only $73.46. And they have a $10,000, which is only $50.51. Now, for those three plans, which plan would you like Julie to receive a check for when God comes calling for you?
Did you say 20 or 25K was the highest one?
I started at 20, but it
20,
can go
right.
higher. The 20,000 was 9640.
Just to make it clear, is there a 25 out of curiosity?
Sure. Yes, I'm pulling it up as we speak. 25,000, Lindsay, is 119.35.
The woman yesterday quoted me 187, and she's like, "Oh, it's not day one coverage. If you die within the first 2 years, it's like 110% of your. After 2 years, it'll pay out." I'm like, what? I'm healthy.
Yes, that's for the unhealthy folks. I have those plans too. You're healthy, Lindsay. That is not your case.
Not sure why I couldn't get it with her then, but hey, thank God I didn't sign up with her.
She probably didn't have that option. She didn't have that option. That's the luxury of being someone like myself. I'm looking at 20 different rates from several different carriers. And there's no money down. We make it effective the date that works best for you.
It's 25 with him. I should call her back and be like, "Look, we got competition. Can you go lower?"
I'm pretty sure prices are set in stone because in the insurance world, she can't go any lower. And these are the lowest across the board. Yeah. I'm looking at over multiple carriers. The average price is roughly about $140 for 67 female non-tobacco excellent health. I'm offering you preferred pricing, meaning you're supremely healthy. No medications, nothing's wrong. You have to be really healthy to qualify for this rate.
Out of curiosity, so we're talking like, amounts of 15, 20, 25K. Whenever you watch like the true crime shows like Forensic Files, they'll be like, before she died, he took out a $1 million life insurance policy. Like, how do you get ones that high? What would the premiums be like on $1 million?
Those are term.
Oh, okay.
They're term life policies. Oh. Exactly what you stated initially. Nobody wants term because if they're, yes, it'll pay out if someone takes you out. And we have features where if you want an accident, it'll pay double on those policies. But that's an instant eye-opener for the medical examiner to open up an investigation.
Exactly.
Instant. But yes, they're out there. But what happens is, let's say if you're 25 or 30 years old and you go get $1 million policy for an unbelievable number, $50 or $75 a month. What happens is, as you get older, the policy decrease and the monthly premium increase. So by the time you're 67 or getting ready to turn 70, you're going to get a letter in the mail saying, hey, that what used to be $1 million that has dropped down to $250,000 is now going down to $50,000, but that $50,000 is going up to $350, $400 a month. I'm just speaking hypothetically,
right.
Throwing random numbers out there. But I have clients calling me crying all the time. They didn't tell me. I didn't know. Or kept going up, but now their insurance payment looks like a house payment. It's like, oh, no, I don't want this. I can't do this anymore.
Okay, so I've got this highlighted. So what's the process involved for signing up? What would I need?
Well, it takes me a few minutes to get you approved, Lindsay. I fill out a simple application. Mm-hmm. I'll send you a little link. Go over the specific medical questions, and the system will give us a decision. And we know everything is a no, so I go through it quickly but thoroughly. And upon approval, you have a policy number, and you make your policy effective the date that works best for you. No money down.
Right, so let me take these rates and do a little digging, and I can call you back because I got your little card. The only thing that I'm concerned with is, even though $25,000 is a lot of money, this is like, and of course, like the rates are locked in, so they'll never go up. But obviously, $25,000 is going to buy less 20 years from now than it will right now. So if funeral costs keep going up, wouldn't it make more sense to do a higher number? I'm thinking maybe.
Well, but it goes up to $40,000, and you can always add more coverage, Lindsay. But I always recommend especially if you don't have anything now, get what's comfortable for your budget.
Right.
Whatever makes sense financially for you, knowing that the room is there to get more, but at least you know you're not biting more than you can chew. And you're alleviating that burden, which I believe is most important. And if you look at the statistics, to see how funerals. Well, you're in Long Beach, so if you're going to be buried in Long Beach, that's probably one of the highest places, excluding Hawaii, that you can be buried at. So, yes, but 10, as a matter of fact, let me look it up here. Your zip code is 90810.
Yes.
I have a website that tells me the average cost for a funeral in your area. And you can, if you want to write this down, it's funeralocity.com. It's spelled funeral, ending in OCITY. And I'll pull that up here for you now. And within a 10-mile radius on an affordable burial, $9,300. If you're going traditional, saying, okay, you want to do the standard, it's $11,200. And that's on the high side. If you're on the average side and said, I just want the basics, it's about $8,000. They have $7,800 here. So this is more than enough coverage, not only to alleviate the burden, but to leave Julie a little something extra.
Oh, I see. I never knew about those websites. This is fascinating. Yes.
I
think so. Because, of course, it depends. That's for basic. If they want, like, a really nice casket and a service and a flower.
And you may want a fancier casket. There's a price point where it starts, but there's no ceiling. And someone said, I want an all marble casket. So if you're on a budget and you walk into a funeral home with a check for $8,000, they're going to be able to accommodate you.
Traditional full service burial. Yeah, it depends on, and that's the other thing is that when I was talking to whoever was the lead, I was like, well, for me personally, I don't mind cremation, it's whatever, but my kids are going to want, a burial plot with a tombstone, put flowers on, they're going to demand that, and you got to give your kids what they want, but, so, I should sit down and talk with them about this before I buy something. But it's good to know that it's not as expensive because I was like, oh man, what if a funeral is like $15,000 now, $20,000, $25,000 might not cover it 20 years from now because inflation's so bad as it is. But no, this is actually pretty affordable. In fact, it might be.
Let me ask you this, Lindsay. What do you think the kids are gonna say?
They'll most likely want a burial, but they might not want the Rolls Royce of burials. They might want to keep it basic. But then it's also, if I tell them, hey, everything's covered, then they'll go for it. So it's kind of the chicken and egg kind of thing, It's like, if the money's there.
Let me ask you.
Or we can tell them, hey, be as cheap as you want and you get the extra. Or go all out and you get less for yourself. And then they decide.
Yes, ma'am.
Wouldn't that be funny?
And let me ask you this also on the flip side. What happens if you don't get it, Lindsay?
I mean, if it's a cremation, it's just a bunch of extra money for them. Someone did mention something about other expenses, but I'm like, wouldn't like any of my debts come out of my estate? They wouldn't come out of the life insurance money, so who cares, right? Like, once I'm gone, my own expenses don't matter.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
Why isn't this? Man, getting buried in California.
Do you have a dollar amount, Lindsay, that you're wanting to stay within?
I mean, I would go, it'd be even better, because I would go, if I was doing cremation, I would go lower. Even for a burial, it probably would make more sense to go 20 then, because that's still double the going rate right now.
Mm-hmm.
But then, it's also, you give someone, you leave them with like $10,000 left over to, I don't know, go on vacation or something. But that would mean also a higher cost for me to do that for them. So
it's what we call a gift of love, Lindsay. Whatever that number is. So, but again, this is my suggestion, because what I always recommend is getting approved.
Right.
No money down, putting their name on it. Show it to them in black and white. Whatever dollar amount that you're comfortable with, whether if it's to 25 to 20 or even a 15 or smaller. Get that out of the way, because anything can change the narrative. And that way you've taken an important step on having some peace of mind. That makes sense to you.
Yeah, affordable burial, direct cremation. What's the difference between traditional or full services? There's the kicker. The burial costs don't include a casket, and they can be expensive. I didn't think about that. Same thing with urns for
Yeah.
the thingy. So we should sit down and crunch numbers then, just to see. Like, you could also even, I don't know, do funeral homes let you talk to them without buying anything? Just like going in and getting
Well,
a quote like you can with this?
of
That's
course.
a bit extreme, but I mean, you know.
Absolutely. Yes. Of course they'll let you talk to them. Because it's just like, doing the same thing. But if you have this site to your access and you know exactly what you want, it's already done. They're only going to tell you the information that you're saying right now.
That's true.
They're going to offer you a package to set it up directly with the funeral home, but you don't want to take that approach.
Right.
Then you're overpaying. And if something happens sooner than expected, you only got what you put into it. When with a life insurance policy, Lindsay, it still pays 100% from day one after one single payment.
And isn't there a thing where if you die in an accident, it doubles it? That doubles the payout?
If you want to include that feature, it's $3 more, or depending on which plan we go with. If we do the $20,000, it goes from $96.40 to $100.10. We did the $15,000, that's $73.46. It'll go to $76.24. And if we did the $25,000, that's $118.35. It goes to $123.98.
Additional. Seriously, thank you for this. This website is amazing. It breaks everything down. So 20,000. You know what I just thought of?
What's that?
Better to go with a higher policy because I travel a lot, and I know that if you die away from home, it's so expensive to repatriate the body. It's thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. So That's also good insurance for. Granted, I think some travel insurance has coverage for that, but just in case, because then it's like, oh well, the burial itself is covered. You have coverage for that, but getting the body, that's on you. Then we're back to square one.
Right.
We saved nothing by getting the policy.
So would you want to start with that 25,000 or that 20,000, Lindsay?
I should probably crunch numbers first. Also, in essence of your times, I don't want to go through the application and then not pull the trigger on it because I have my own things to do. But thanks for this website, and I should talk to my kids and see what they think. But I'm liking the higher numbers, and it's still affordable. I mean, less than $100. It's amazing.
Well, if you've spoken with several agents, Lindsay, already, and you see that these rates are already better than every rate that you have, and knowing this is something that you need anyway, why wait?
Couldn't they pull money from my investments though to pay for the funeral, or would that not be possible?
It will go into that. Would take a process.
Oh, okay.
It wouldn't actually. A lot of times that goes into probate, and it could take 90 days or longer for that money to be dispersed to the family.
Fair point. I didn't think about that.
That's fine.
Funeral director. Okay. Let me put this down. So, what did you say the process was involved in? Because I also have a meeting, so it's going to be a thing.
It's very simple. It takes me about 5 minutes to get you a decision.
Okay.
I'm able to have your policy number if it's approved. Again, you make it effective the date that works best for you. It's no money down. And you can set your first payment date up to 35 days from today.
I think the first would make the most sense, wouldn't it? This coming Monday?
Yes. Okay. Makes perfect sense. Now, are we doing the 20,000, the 25, or the 15?
When you go to add more, isn't it a new policy, or do you just add to your current policy?
It'll be a new policy if you're adding an additional policy at a later date. So, yes, because if you get a policy at 67, obviously, and you say, okay, I want another policy at 70, they're going to have to make sure your health is still as good as it is, and your age has changed, and you still have to be qualified for that plan. But a lot of times, you still get a discount for having it under one umbrella. If that makes any sense.
Are you able to So then do they have policies as small as like $5,000 then if you wanted to add incremental? They do?
Yes, ma'am. I can go down to about $3,000 if need be.
Really?
But just to kind of give you an idea, a $5,000 policy for your health, Lindsay, is $27.
Actually, that makes sense because a cremation can be under $5,000, so it would make sense that you get something so low.
Kind of give you an idea. I wrote a policy for a family last week, and she just wanted enough for cremation. $2,000 policy. She was 83. She only wanted $2,000. She called the funeral home and asked them how much was their cremation, where they come pick her up and everything. And she called me back and said, all I need is the $2,000, Jervon. And it was done within minutes.
Fascinating. All right, I guess the next step is a health question. Oh yeah, I need to give this a certain amount. And of course I can't change it because of the thing. See, this is the hard part: is how high or how low. I think 15K would be more than enough. But then, you could also just future proof and go for 100. It's really not much, 25. Right. It's really not that much more money. But
I always say, Lindsay, start small. Make it easy.
But then that way, when you add coverage later, it's a whole process. It's not like incrementing insurance. You have to go through another policy.
Depending on when you call me, Lindsay, me being your agent, I work for you. I work with you. So I try my best to simplify that process as much as possible to make it work in your favor.
16, 20, and then 25. Let me see. I still think it'd make more sense to crunch the numbers. I know, like, from your end, the whole thing is you got to close immediately. You have to close. You can't. If you let them go, they're never going to call back. I know how it works. I have friends in sales, but it's just like, just so we get the right amount.
Start small. And still get approved. You still want to get that approval decision. And even if you say, okay, Jervon, let's get approved for the $15,000, and you come back prior to your first payment day and say, can we up it to the $20,000? It's done with just a phone call.
I think we can. Let me think about it. 4,000. It might make sense then to do 15. Cause see, the annoying part is here. It's like caskets are between $1,000 and $6,000. Well, what's the difference between $1,000 and a $6,000 casket? Which one do I want? So
if you pull them up, right? If you pull them up, and I believe Walmart have them pretty reasonable on their site.
Costco as well.
But yes. And I did not know Walmart sold caskets until I Googled caskets, the prices for it.
I didn't know that until now.
Yes, it's not directly, but you know how Walmart outsource.
Right.
And you're purchasing an item on their site, but they still work with vendors also. It's very similar. And yes, it's they can be pretty reasonable. So it's about actually what I always say, what's comfortable for your budget?
I think for the sake of it, let's do 15. What did you say the rates were on 15 again? I also want to crunch the numbers real quick, and then we'll go to the health question.
15,000. Let me go back to it here, Lindsay. Without the accidental death benefit plan double, it is $73.46. If you want the accident to pay double, it's $76.24.
So 204, which is divided by 12. Oh, this is interesting. So it would take, like, if you want to calculate, for example, a break even, it would take 17 years of payments to get to that $15,000. So I guess you could think of that as like who wins, because obviously if I die in less than 17 years, I pay less. But if it's over 17 years, then I pay more than what the payout is.
You got to look at it from this point of view also. Your policy bills cash value. So let's say if you want some of that money in your pockets, you can use it for that. Or if you wanted to pay your monthly premium, because you can't make a payment, but you still want your policy to stay active, it can be used for that also. You also get an accelerated benefit rider with the plan, Lindsay. What that means is if a doctor ever stated You have a certain amount of days left to live. They'll go ahead and cut you the check while you're still living. Instead of it being a death benefit, now it's a living benefit also.
They would cut it to yourself?
Yes, it'll go to you. It wouldn't go to your kids or Julie if that's who the beneficiary is going to be.
Who wants to do that? If I know that I have a terminal illness, I'm going to max out my credit cards and take it to the grave. I'm not... No, I'm not leaving that money for the creditors. Screw that.
Well, okay. Prime example. Let's say you got a $15,000 policy, and you can and terminal illness comes up, and you can cash in your policy, get the full benefit for the $15,000. All in, everything costs $10,000. You got $5,000 left over. You may want to take Julie and go to Disney World or Disneyland or something. I mean, it has happened. Rare, but it's happened.
I don't know why they would. Just put it on a credit card. The debt will die with you. Anyway, all right. Let's go for 15. Man. Let's go to the... So next to the medical questions, right? We have to get approved.
Yes, it takes me just a few moments here, Lindsay. And let me confirm, what state were you born in?
California.
California. You're at home. So Lindsay is Lindsay or EY?
AY.
Middle initial?
No middle initial.
Gardner, Gardner.
Yes.
Lovely lady. Date of birth 11/3/56. Mailing address is Beach, California. Is that a home?
Yes.
Zip code again is 90810. I have your phone number ending in cell phone number, correct?
Yes.
Alrighty. And the most important part of your policy, your beneficiary, who are we listing as the beneficiary?
Julie can be the beneficiary.
Julie, middle initial?
No.
Last name?
Cooper.
Cooper. And that's daughter as well?
Yes.
And the way the company knows to pay those benefits out to Julie, also how you approve Lindsay, and how you identify when God comes calling for you is because your policy and your beneficiaries, they are connected to you through your social. What's your social, Lindsay? Your trust. And do you have a primary care doctor that you use?
Yes.
What's your doctor clinic's name?
I can't remember the clinic name. His name is Cameron Lee.
Dr. Cameron Lee. He's in Long Beach?
Yes.
I got him. In just one moment. At 2110 North Bellflower?
Yes.
Okay. In just one moment, Lindsay. Give it a second for it to load. Ready? I'm just waiting on this to update here for me. And I always cross all my T's and dot my I's. I once put a client down for 2 pounds. I had to go back and do everything all over again. So just bear with me one moment, Lindsay. There we go. So I'm getting ready to send you a text message here now. Now, when I send you a text message, it should read to you a 5 or 6 digit code. Let me know once you... Well, I haven't sent it just yet. Give it just a moment. And again, I want to make sure I got this right. Lindsay Gardner, female, social.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
Date of birth is 11/3/65 or 56.
56.
56. Born in the U.S. in the state of California. You're 2 Beach, California, 90810. Okay. It's giving me an identity error, Lindsay. Just 1 second. Just one still loading here for me. Have you ever had your name changed yourself? Were you always Lindsay Gardner?
Yes.
Right. Or you have had it changed before?
No, I've always had the same name.
Okay. And they're processing. And I have your cell phone number ending in 8072. As for some reason, it's not letting me validate your identity, Lindsay. I would only have one alternate option, which would be with Occidental Life Singer's Choice, and that 15,000 is 7701.
What's the previous price quoted? I wrote it down somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just a little more expensive.
Yes.
Why can't we get this one to come through?
Yes, it's not validating your identity.
Should we try again later? Maybe the system's down or something?
It's not down. Usually I have a number incorrect. Something's not right because I checked multiple systems, Lindsay, and it's giving me that error message in both sources.
Our social cards are in the safe deposit box at the bank, but I can go double check that and give you a call back if you'd prefer. That might be a better way to make sure we both cross our T's and dot our I's.
Absolutely, Lindsay. And other than that, did you have any questions for me?
No, I think that's it.
Or did you want to try?
No, I've got the rate written down. I've got the payment written down. Obviously, you have your own notes on what we did, so when we come back to it, we can pick up where we left off. And let's keep trying for it, because that's also on my end. Like, why is it not? It's for me too. Yes. What's going on?
Absolutely.
Did I die in the system and they just?
No. Again, I can give it a shot here with Occidental Life Singer's Choice, and what this policy does come with here, and it's 7701. But you also get a confined care rider. Let's say if you go outside and slip and fall, and hurt your knee, and you're temporarily confined. They release up to 5% of your benefits on a monthly basis to take care of things you may want, things you may need, which doesn't sound like a lot, but on a $15,000 policy, that's $750 a month. That'll go in your pocket. Now, it's a little bit more, but you get an extra benefit. So it's worth the shot, Lindsay, if you wanted to give that a shot, because they're pretty close.
I don't know. You seem like weird. I'm still confused about that advanced benefit where you have a term bonus. Like, seriously, who would ever do that? Just max out your credit cards. Why would you? So
right. I mean, it's optional. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't. It's your option. You wouldn't have to use it, but you can.
It's just it would add up. And again, I want to make sure that my own identity is correct, because what the hell? So I have your little card. Let me bold this to make it stand out. This is the one we went with. And we can try again and see what's... Because I'm also confused. Why? Wouldn't it just work?
It should. And you said, again, the last date of birth is 11 of 56.
Mm-hmm.
11 November 3rd of 56, correct?
Right. You sure you put 56, not 65?
I'm certain. Let me double check. I got you. 67-year young female.
This is so weird.
And yes, everything looks accurate on my end. What I would still try is with Singer's Choice, Lindsay, and see if they give us the green light.
But again, that extra that they're going to charge is going to add up. It doesn't seem like much, but then multiply that by, 3 years.
Right.
It's like the other day, I was looking at cell phone plans, to have as a spare phone for like business stuff. And so one is 5 and one is 6, and it's 500 megabytes versus a gigabyte, but otherwise the plans are identical. And so it's like, oh sure, but if an extra dollar adds up and adds up and adds.
Right. You're right. That's fine.
So since we're flexible to put this on hold, we might as well and just I'll go check I need to go to the bank either tomorrow or this weekend anyway. You work Saturdays, or should we try on Monday?
Well, I can make an exception. I usually show houses on Saturdays, but I'll definitely make an exception.
Oh, actually, it's Tuesday, so no, I don't need to wait till the weekend. I thought it was like Friday. I'm like, ooh, because if we want to start this on Monday, the 1st, which would make sense to have plans like charged the 1st. We want to get it done before then. It's Tuesday, not so I can go to the bank like it's 12:37 today or tomorrow, by Thursday at the latest, to get them out of the box and double verify that on my end, and then we'll see where we can go. Since we can pick up where we left off, because
yes,
I'm also curious why it's not verifying. Let me check for my own, and I'd rather lock in the lower rate and wait than just be like, okay, well, we'll on to another one. Yeah.
Right. Makes sense.
Let's sort this out.
Makes perfect sense. All righty, Lindsay. Did you have any other questions for me, or is there anything else I can assist you with today?
Not now, but I have your number if I need anything between now and then, and I'll go get that looked into.
All right. Thank you, Lindsay, and you have a blessed day, okay?
You too, thanks.
Bye now.
Bye. Man, he was persistent. I've never seen somebody that persistent to close a deal. He was not going to let me off the phone without closing. And even after identity verification failed, he was like, let's just move on to the next one. It's crazy. So the saga's not over, though. After that phone call, I pulled the recording at the beginning of this video, the one with the Indian call center, and I sent it to him in a text message along with this. And his response was as follows. That's it. No, oh, I engage in shady practices. Oh, I'm surprised. Oh, I hadn't. He wouldn't even pretend to be shocked. Just like, I sincerely apologize. So that's why I have no qualms using his real name, publishing his real name, and putting his picture and all his details out there. He has no remorse over using these shady tactics to get his clients, so I have no remorse naming and shaming on YouTube. I'm not going to put his phone number out there. I'm not that mean, but I'm sure it'd be easy to find his phone number if he really wanted to. And Jervon, if you're watching this, you're a piece of shit.